Life of Fred, Financial Choices. Chapter 20. The first step after choosing. Fred looked over his list of 11 skills and talents. The one that best described him was teacher. He knew that he wouldn't be able to find a business that exactly fit everything on his list. He put teacher at the center of a page and exploded the idea. Teacher. Tests, grades, students discovering the wonders of math, textbooks, pens, chalk, laughter, releasing from the chains of ignorance, kids loving to learn, a university, rose gardens, library, chapel, tennis courts. Fred chose, I will found a university. That released a flood of ideas, always a good sign. My university will be inexpensive. My university will have teachers whose first love is teaching and not research or publishing. The teachers won't be paid on the basis of how old they are, like Kitten's University does. They won't be paid on the basis of how many years they've taught. This university will be a very classical university. It won't be a trade school designed for getting a job. No classes in floristry or in forestry. Each class will aim to expose the students to the very best that our civilization has to offer. Each class will show the essential inner coherence between the academic subjects, English, math, history, philosophy, in addition to emphasizing the why as much as the how. No teacher will just teach facts. Memorizing is so much less important than understanding. Therefore, every exam will be open book, open notes. This will prevent teachers from doing lazy fact teaching. Fred was in love with the idea of starting a university. Small warning. No matter what you choose, there will be days ahead where you are not in love with your choice. No matter whom you marry, no matter which field you choose, no matter how real your calling in life is, there will be times where you want to chuck it all in and run away. This is natural. It happens. Don't let it freak you out. After centering down and choosing, the next step is often the scariest. You have to reinvent who you are. Let those words sink in for a moment. You have to reinvent who you are. Ouch! I, your reader, am very happy with who I am right now. I'm not in the mood to go changing myself, and reinventing sounds worse than just making some changes. It is. Am I going to lose touch with myself? Which self? Almost all of us are changing. You aren't exactly the same person as you were yesterday. The whole goal of Fred's University, for example, is to change students. The graduating senior is to be much different than the entering freshman. If you don't want to change, if after high school you just want to get a job to feed yourself, watch football, someone gets the ball, he either throws it, runs with it, or kicks it. And just think about the good old days. You will have a lot of company in the cemetery. Most people who have ever lived are dead right now. Most people who are living right now are just killing time. Reinventing yourself is not for cowards. Being brave doesn't mean not feeling fear or pain. The brave feel the icy fingers of fear on their spines. They hurt, but they still move forward. Reinventing yourself, if you don't dawdle, will take 3 or 4 years. We all carry a mental business card. Yesterday, Fred's would have read Fred Gauss, math teacher at Kitten's University. Today, he is rewriting it. Fred Gauss, founder of a university. Today, if you ask Fred, who are you? He is learning to respond, I am a founder of a university. If you say, what university? I don't see it. He will answer, but I do. Right now, Fred's thought of his university is just a twinkle in his eye, a foggy haze of a dream. In 3 or 4 years, the reinvention of himself, that dream will solidify and become alive. Marshmallow sauce will become stainless steel. Until you have seen this happen, it's almost impossible to describe. Okay, I'm willing to sign up. What's next? In 3 words, 5,000 hours. Could you elaborate a little? I'd be glad to. Fred is going to live, eat, and sleep with his vision of Fred's University. He will talk with students and other faculty members about what would make a great university. He will visit other campuses. He will check online and with real estate brokers to find real estate that might be used. He will learn that some colleges go bankrupt and have an empty campus waiting to be used. He will learn about private colleges that are looking for a buyer. He will learn all about accreditation. He might go see the movie Goodbye, Mr. Chips, 1939, and learn about school traditions. He will look at the websites of many universities. He will make lists, lots of them, courses to be taught, kinds of trees to be planted on the campus, supplies that each instructor will receive. He will draft faculty manuals, compose a university hymn, and draw sketches of the buildings. But most importantly, he will read. Reading is probably the best mentor. Much of those 5,000 hours will be spent reading. He will get books from the Kittens University Library, from the public library, from friends. He will buy books, 1 or 2 or 3 of them at a time. He will read books about the souls of great universities, about which private universities are prospering, about which universities have failed, about hiring faculty and staff, about current trends in education, about accreditation, about trees and flowers on a campus, about maintaining and renovating academic buildings, about government laws and regulations for universities, about university mascots, about accounting, about insurance, about campus safety, about class rings. Inspirational books and how-to books, at least a couple hundred books. One of 2 things will happen. Either Fred will discover that founding a university is not really the path for him, or he will, after 5,000 hours, find that there will be only a couple hundred people in the world who know as much as he does about founding a university. This preparation is the essential first step for success. If your field of interest is bowling alleys, you don't start by going out and buying a bowling alley. Chapter 21, Sedulousness and Inexorableness. Fred put away his paper and pencil and headed back toward the math building. He could feel those 5,000 hours ticking away. He wanted to talk over his dream of founding a university with Kingy, who is one of the most successful dolls that Fred knew. He had done those years of preparation day after day, and now Kingy was one of the top 200 or 300 oil painters in the world. The note for that is, hey, this is really true. I challenge you to make a list of the 100 top living oil painters. I bet that even before you listed 6 of them, you will have thought of Kingy. As Fred walked, he wondered how hard it would be to amass 5,000 hours. His teaching schedule was only slightly longer than the average university professors. And the Pacific Ocean is only slightly wetter than popcorn. Most of them teach 6 to 9 hours per week. Fred teaches 45 hours per week. Here's Fred's schedule. 8 to 9, arithmetic. 9 to 10, beginning algebra. 10 to 11, advanced algebra. 11 to noon, geometry. Noon to 1, trigonometry. 1 to 2, calculus. 2 to 3, statistics. 3 to 3:05, break. 3:05 to 4, linear algebra. 4 to 5, seminar in biology, economics, physics, set theory, topology, and metamathematics. He immediately noticed that he had a 5-minute break that he could use toward his 5,000 hours. That's a start, he thought to himself. As Fred walked up the 2 flights of stairs in the math building, he was computing. There are 30 weeks in an academic year. That's 150 days. During those 150 days of teaching each year, I can put in an hour in the morning after jogging and 2 hours in the evening. That's 3 times 150 equals 450 hours during my teaching days. That leaves 215 days. The math, 365 minus 150. Subtract off 52 Sundays. That leaves 163 days with no teaching commitment. 10 hours a day working on my founding a university and 5 hours of goofing around and 9 hours of sleep. Any idiot could do that. As Fred walked past the 9 vending machines, he added up the numbers. 450 hours during the teaching days plus 1,630 during the non-teaching, non-Sunday days equals 2,080 hours each year to devote to getting ready to launch my university. I had read somewhere, he thought to himself, that these 5,000 hours would take 3 or 4 years. That must be for slackers. And Fred was the kind of guy who can make a schedule and keep to it. He was sedulous, which means persevering. He had what some call grit. On those 163 non-teaching, non-Sunday days, no temptation could turn the 5 hours of goofing off into 6. He was inexorable, which means not to be pulled off his intended path. In fact, on many of those 163 days, he would decide to work half-time, 12 hours out of every 24. In every business adventure, there is an element of luck. Fred was determined to make the element of luck as small as possible. When Fred entered his office, it was dark. He thought Kingy must have turned off the light and gone into his fort for a little nap, but that wasn't the case. He was still doing oil paintings, but was working by candlelight. Did the electricity go out? Fred asked Kingy. No, the sun disappeared. That's not possible, Fred said. I was just outside, and the sun was shining as it always does during a Kansas summer. He looked out of his office window, and something big and black was obscuring the view. He ran down the hallway past the 9 vending machines, down 2 flights of stairs, and out into the sunshine. What he saw shocked him. There was a giant chimney extending upward from Helen's office window. The fireplace installation truck was gone. They had finished their work. Helen had a new fireplace in her office. Fred's window was completely blocked by the chimney. One of the most important skills needed for any business owner and any parent is the ability to solve apparently insoluble problems. Having a chimney built right over your window is one of those apparently insoluble problems. Fred could complain to Helen, but that probably wouldn't do any good. He could talk to the university president, except that the president is on a 3-month cruise. He gave a little push on the chimney and it tilted slightly. With a couple more pushes, he could see out his window again. This creative solution was fast, easy, and might be said to be brilliant, except for one small detail. Helen's fireplace is now tipped at a 30-degree angle. Keeping your drive alive. Number 1, the first thing is to keep your goal visible. If you are trying to lose weight, put a picture of you at your fattest on the refrigerator door. If your goal is to be a successful apricot farmer, then subscribe to lots of apricot magazines. Apricot Weekly, Cheerleading with America's Favorite Fruit, Apricot, and the Journal of Beautiful Apricots. Number 2, write down your specific goals. Then post them where you will see them. They must be specific, so specific that anyone can tell whether you have achieved them. If you write, I'm going to grow a lot of apricots, that is not specific. Instead, You might write, I will have 1,000 trees before my 23rd birthday. Or, I will be the largest apricot producer in Georgia by, put a specific date here. Number 3, in your reading of several hundred books, include biographies of people who have achieved great things. They don't all have to be stories of successful apricot growers. You'll find that one common theme will be their unstoppable determination. Their will was adamantine, which means like a stone, imperturbable. Number 4, failure cannot kill your drive. Know that lots of setbacks are certain to be a part of your path to retiring in 24 years. Michael Rubin wrote, I was $120,000 in debt at 16. Rule number 1 is you can't be scared to fail. Question, who is Michael Rubin? Answer, his chosen field was online sports merchandise. Question, why should I listen to Michael Rubin? Answer, at the age of 41, his net worth was $2,300,000,000. That's 2.3 billion. Things are going to get rough. Your 1,000 apricot trees might develop some kind of apricot rot. Your central thought must be that if you are knocked down 5 times, you will get up 6 times. Did you know that Walt Disney went broke 7 times and had a nervous breakdown before he and his pal Mickey Mouse succeeded? Number 5, which salesmen succeed? The ones that call on the most customers. And they are the ones who also have the greatest number of rejections. Talent takes second place to tenacity. Inner compulsion is it. Have so much that it scares you. This will count much more than any inheritance. Number 6, your self-discipline. Your drive is directly related to where your eyes are looking. The further you look ahead, the easier it will be to wade through all the daily dreck. Number 7, they are going to laugh at you. You are going to make unbelievably bad errors. Humiliation will try to knock the stuffing out of you many times. The cure? It's easy. Stop trying to think of yourself as king or queen of the universe. You are not the big cheese. You are just someone trying to do your work. High quality work does not mean error-free work. If no one can find fault with you, something is really wrong.